Now, a lot of times when you get over close to the bank, what do you have to expect?
That the dogs will get out?
The dogs are going to get out, yeah. Sometimes they just want to get out and play, but a lot of times they end up seeing some kind of critter, you know. And dogs love to chase critters. And about the only way to be super successful at getting them not to chase critters is lots of early socialization. Do you see those ducks?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's kind of hang out over here a little bit. Oh, look, there they go. Did you see those ducks, cameraman? No. And hey, look, we were pretty lucky. Our dogs did not get out and chase those critters, even though they kind of wanted to. Get back in the boat, nerd. Very nice. Very proud of those dogs. Did a good job, Charlotte. Welcome back to the Bluegrass. It's a beautiful Friday evening. Charlotte and I have Grover and Hildy out doing a little canoeing training. And you may notice that Grover and Hildy are both, they keep looking off to the side. And what they're watching there, they're watching the mentor dogs. What they're having a little bit of trouble with tonight is most of the times so far that we've come to the pond with them, we've kind of encouraged them to follow the mentor dogs around. And we basically use our mentor dogs in two ways. Number one, we use them to help build confidence in young dogs when we take them into new and novel situations. But number two, we also use them as distractions some. And that might seem a little bit unfair to you, but it kind of works like this. So let's say that last week we came over to the pond 5 times. And all 5 times we let Hildy and Grover just kind of pal around with the labs, okay? Now, tonight, all of a sudden, we're saying, let me get them turned around here. All of a sudden, tonight, what we're saying is that they have to stay in the boat, okay? And from their perspective, that's not very fair. But the reality is that when these dogs go home and they go canoeing, they go kayaking, they go paddleboarding with their owners, they're not going to just be able to get out of the canoe at their leisure, okay? So we're trying to compress a lot of training into a short period of time here. So we had 2 main objectives. Our primary objective was to create confidence in new environments, especially environments related to water. But our secondary goals were to make sure that the dogs were able to remain focused under high levels of distraction. Okay, so we accomplished our goals last week in terms of being able to come to the farm and expect for the dogs to do pretty well in terms of following the mentor dogs around and getting in the water. Now, neither one of these dogs are powerful swimmers like the labs, but they're most certainly good enough at swimming now that if they were to fall out of the boat, they're not going to panic and it's going to be easy to retrieve them. Okay, but the weird thing that happens there is as soon as we got them to be confident, then all of a sudden we need them to also be controlled. And confidence and control, they're usually not positively correlated. And you can think about like little kids in swimming pools, right? So when you first start trying to get a little kid to get in a swimming pool, a lot of times they're like, they don't want to get in there or they don't want to jump off the high dive. But as soon as they get a little bit of confidence, what do they do? You can't hardly keep them off of the high dive. You can't hardly keep them out of the swimming pool. And so that's the same thing with these dogs. When you go to doing your acclimation phase for water sports training, what you're going to notice is that your dogs are very nervous in the beginning stages. Okay, unless you have a good Labrador Retriever or some other type of water dog, they're going to be a little nervous as it relates to getting in the water. They're not going to know what to do. Like, you know, you'll finally get them to where they're going in the water and they're kind of like getting their feet wet. But as soon as they hit that neutral buoyancy point where like their feet start to come off of the ground, then they freak out a little bit. And it'll take you a few sessions to get over that. But as soon as you get over that initial fear of swimming, then hey, they're gonna be hard to keep out of the water. And so, you know, then you start trying to think, well, okay, if we're going to the lake or we're going to the river, we probably want to do a little boating. Well, your dog is thinking, hey, if we're going boating, aren't you taking me somewhere where I can jump off and go swimming? Because I see other people, they're all swimming. I see other dogs up on the bank. Maybe I should just go visit them. Okay, so that's where you have to do your second phase of training, which is the controlled part. Okay, and so the way we establish control here, two ways. Number one, a little bit of physical management. I do have leashes on both of these dogs, so if they try to get out, I can stop them. Or if they get out, I can retrieve them very easily. But the other thing is we're constantly like reinforcing the idea here that access to things that dogs like come via indirect action. So we developed a pattern over here where the dogs come and look forward to being around the water, okay? And now we're saying if you want to have fun in the water, you got to kind of do the boring stuff first. And the boring stuff is kind of sitting in the canoe while everybody else has fun. So in other words, being calm, attentive, and polite in the canoe is the only way to access what the mentor dogs are doing. So if these dogs want to pal around with the mentor dogs, like, and you can see Grover really wants to, he's going to have to put that forward posture away, and he's going to have to sit down in this canoe and act like he's got a little bit of sense. Okay, let me turn him around there, see if I can get you guys to look at the look on his face. After a while, you'll kind of develop the ability to look at your dog and know if they're up to no good. So you can see the body posture of both of these dogs is pointed directly at the mentor dogs. So as long as this is going on, we're going to stay in the canoe. And it might take 45 minutes, or it might take an hour, it might take an hour and a half, I don't know. We got all night, don't we, Charlotte? So like, we're going to sit here, and these dogs are not getting out of this canoe until they're perfectly well settled. Now, as soon as they get settled, and I mean just as soon as they get settled, then I'm going to let them out, and I'm going to let them swim, and I'm going to let them run around the fields, and I'm going to let them hang out with the dogs, okay? But that's the kind of patience it takes if you want to use this style of training, okay? This is a slow style of training, but the great thing about it is once your lessons are taught, they're taught very well, and you don't have to reteach them. I mean, ultimately, by the end of the summer, both of these dogs will look at the chance of getting on a paddleboard or getting in a canoe or getting in a power boat as a chance to have fun, but only after showing that they can be calm, attentive, and polite, okay? In other words, we're making these dogs understand that everything in life comes from being calm, attentive, and polite. Guys, and if you can have a confident dog that likes to party, that likes to have fun, but that also understands that it has to be calm, confident, calm, attentive, and polite in order to gain access to those fun things, then you are off to the races, and there's nothing standing in the way of you and big-time puppy-sized adventures for the whole rest of their life. Okay, well, I just thought you guys might be interested in what we were doing tonight and our general approach to teaching manners on paddleboards and canoes. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.